Richard, could we first establish what as Chief Inspector here in Thurrock, what are your duties?
I mean, my main duties, I generally work Monday to Friday, office hours, and I work a certain number of weekends as and when required, just to give an overview of the local policing area, which runs between Thurrock and Harlow. On a general day, I suppose I'd normally be in the office about 7:30 in the morning. And what that will look like is I'll log onto the computer, I'll look at a number of emails, I'll look at some performance data, I'll look and see if there's been any crime trends or any patterns or anything like that. Sometimes I have to chair the morning performance meetings, other times I don't. So again, that will depend on how much preparation I do and how detailed I actually look into that. And from there really, it's just a question of normally a mixture of meetings, preparation for those meetings, any actions from meetings that I've been to before, and making sure that everything that I'm going to these meetings for, I'm actually prepared for and can give the right answers and actually make a difference. And really, it could be anything. That no 2 days are the same, if I'm perfectly frank. It could be I'm dealing with complaints. It could be I'm sitting down with my officers, patting them on the back in relation to some good work that they've done. It could be I'm speaking to them more formally around some work that didn't go quite so well. So as I say, it really is a sort of a different picture every day. But generally my day lasts between 9 and 10 hours on an average day.
These morning performance meetings you refer to, is this where you are getting feedback from inspectors and sergeants on what's been happening over the last 24 hours?
Yes, it can be, yeah. As I say, if I'm the chair, I will log into a conference call and I'll be speaking to people from around here and, to Harlow officers, inspectors, sergeants, and they'll give me an update, an overview of what's gone on in their areas. And then half hour later, I'll then log into a chief officer call where I'll give an overview from the local policing area to chief officers around any significant incidents around threat, harm and risk, any crime levels and patterns, and those kind of issues really.
A lot of it seems to be a lot of paperwork, meetings. Is that a frustration or is that an opportunity?
A bit of both really. I've now sort of been in the service 17.5 years. My days of flying around in a car in blue lights are long gone now, and it's one of the things you accept as you sort of go through the ranks. That actually, you're going to be more desk bound and more meetings. Sometimes it's a frustration. And sometimes, they're very interesting and quite strategic, and you can make a difference. How's in the 17.5 years? How's the job changed for you? For me, significantly, really. I mean, most of my service, initially in the sort of first 9 years, was down in Southend. I've been to traffic for a year. I've then gone sort of the promotion route and worked back at Southend. Came to Ockenden as an inspector, worked over there for 2 or 3 years. And then I've done sort of stints of temporary chief inspector at Thurrock, as well as a short period at Basildon. So working wise, location wise, it's been, it's changed, and some of the roles have changed. In terms of the role as well for general police officers, yeah, it's if I reverted back to a constable at the moment, I'd probably, I'd be a bit like a fish out of water. It would take me a little while to probably readjust. But yeah, things have changed. And in a lot of cases for the better.
You mentioned Thurrock and Harlow quite a lot. Is that the different? That's the different. Just explain to people. That's the different division now, isn't it? Is that under Operation Blueprint?
Yeah, Blueprint. Previously, Thurrock was always aligned with Basildon. As of the 1st of March, Thurrock was aligned with Epping and Brentwood and Harlow, which is called the local policing area. So under that sits a command structure, and as I say, Thurrock is part of the West LPA now.
Not everybody seems to know or think they know they can be a plumber. Not everybody seems to think they know they can be an academic. But do you find it frustrating, or is it part of the job, that most people, maybe including journalists as well, think they know a lot about the criminal justice system? Can that be a bit frustrating?
It can be, because I think if you think about TV and what's on television at the moment, police programs, emergency programs are very, very popular. They're always on. Doesn't matter if it's one of the 4 major channels or whether they're on repeats on Sky, and everybody has a view. And there are some incidents, I suppose, where police officers acquit themselves very well and come across quite eloquently, and there are those that perhaps don't. And I think you're right. It's one of those jobs that everybody thinks they could probably do and have an opinion on the police service. But it is challenging. It does come with its risks. But generally speaking, I think the officers, at my, that I work with day in day out, do a really good job.
I'll ask you this question because about May last year, I was up outside a polling station in Corringham, and a gentleman said to me that one thing he found frustrating, his perception was that the police gave passing attention to antisocial behaviour in Corringham. Now, as a general question, there's a lot of dissatisfaction amongst people, as expressed on comments on our side and on Facebook about antisocial behaviour in Corringham. Can you understand people's frustrations?
I don't know whether it's a difficult one to answer. First of all, antisocial behaviour is a false priority for the Essex Police. We all know how damaging it can be to individuals, and how it affects the quality of life of residents. Essex Police does take antisocial behaviour seriously. Residents do need to let us know when it's happening, so we can obviously respond to that. And I would just ask, those people that watch this interview, that actually they do report it. We do take it seriously. We do have to prioritise incidents. Please don't get me wrong on that. And sometimes, there will be a more pressing task that we need to attend to first. But ultimately, our aim is to get to the ASB incident and deal with it effectively and efficiently as we can do.
Am I a dinosaur if I thought, or the question would be, there should be a sergeant and 6 men in a van that will patrol Corringham, and if they see gangs or groups of youths, deal with them robustly. Is that simply not logistically feasible?
Indeed. I mean, the days of where we have those kind of resources at our disposal are long gone, I'm afraid. We do need to be quite clever in terms of where we put our resources. Obviously we need to keep our people at the front end just to make sure that we can respond to incidents, but in terms of just having the luxury of putting a police carrier out, if you like, with a sergeant and 6 constables, as I say, those days are less frequent, shall we say.
So again, I guess this is a political question which you may or may not be answer, but with all the cuts coming up, things like response times and strategically where you place men, are all these things a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, they are challenging, don't get me wrong, and I think everybody knows that the public sector has taken a big hit in terms of their budgets. Essex Police has looked at the best ways and the most effective ways in terms of where we can put people to respond to incidents within the timelines that we're measured against. And in the main, we actually achieve those. So, to reassure the public, if a 999 call comes in, we do respond and we get there quickly, and within the, as I say, the necessary timescales. But yes, don't get me wrong, it is challenging, but we do have enough people to do the job.
Is Thurrock a unique sort of microclimate in Essex for policing? There's so many different facets to Thurrock. That must be for you. That must be a real challenge and a real opportunity. Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I'm very lucky. I enjoy the challenges that Thurrock brings to me. As I say, having never worked here until sort of 3-4 years ago, it was an experience. If you consider, the diverse communities, the road networks, the infrastructure, a major shopping centre. Yes, there are some challenges that come along with Thurrock. If anything, if there was a major incident, we obviously have plans that we can actually go to and make sure we adhere to, and make sure we actually get to those and deal with those major incidents if they ever arose effectively and efficiently. But we're quite lucky. We have a really effective working partnership with the council, and as I say, with those meetings, I don't think we're ever really found wanting.
And you mentioned the council. You must have a lot of partners and multi-agency organisations that you work with. You're not just working in a silo on your own, are you?
No, definitely not. No, it's not. I can't sit here and say Essex Police makes the difference. It's not. We obviously have a major part to play in that. But as I say, there are a number of agencies, a number of partners that we work with closely, and as I say, we do have some really good relationships. And as I say, it's for the benefit of Thurrock ultimately. Are
you a team here in Thurrock? And you mentioned officers patting them on the back. Is there a real team ethos here in Thurrock?
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think people are all obviously very keen to pick up on situations where the police perhaps haven't dealt with things quite so well, and people tend to hone in on that, whether it's because it seems more interesting or because ultimately it's affected them and had an adverse effect on them. But we need to take, I could sit here and reel off a number of things where my officers go out there day in, day out and do a really good job, and they're very proud of the job they do, and that makes me proud to actually sit down with them and actually have a cup of coffee with them, spend 15-20 minutes with them, however long it takes, just to actually let them know that I think they're doing a really, really good job and making a difference.
And finally, would you still consider Thurrock to be a safe place?
I do, yeah. I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that, you know, between 2005 and last year, Thurrock reduced crime significantly. Last year, we were always going to reach a saturation point, and I think if you look at the current economy, Thurrock did see a very, very slight increase in crime last year. This year, we've already seen we're 135 offences under our yearly target, and we're 303 crimes better off than last year, this time last year for the same period. So actually, there's some really good work that's going on out there. Thurrock is a safe place to live. We do maximise our resources. We look at see where things are happening. We adjust people's duties, their start times as to where they're going to go. We do police with the consent of the public, and all I'd ask for is that obviously that sort of two-way communication comes in. You know, if you're a victim of a crime, we actually need to know about it so we can actually look to deal with it effectively and efficiently, bring people to justice, hopefully detect it at the end of the day, because that's our ultimate game. We don't just want to arrest people, we want to make sure that we follow it through to court. But yes, if you're asking me, 2012, Thurrock is a safe place to live and visit.
Chief Inspector, thank you very much.